Hey guys, so today I'm going to be chatting with Jessalyn Randle. I'm going to be posting this live on my page for anybody who can't catch it right now. Jessalyn is a military wife, she is a fitness enthusiast, and she's also a huge carnivore diet advocate. She also jointly runs the YouTube channel Carnivore Revolution. I'm super excited to chat with her today, and I'm just going to wait until she joins the chat and we're going to start the interview. Awesome. Okay, so she's joining right now. I'm super excited. If you guys didn't catch it, we actually did chat on her page a few weeks ago. Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. I'm excited too. And thank you again for reading my book. If you guys didn't see it, I posted a story about it a few weeks ago. Jessalyn read my science fiction novel, which was like so cool of her. So yeah, I'm super excited to talk to you today. We're gonna kind of talk about interests like later in the interview, but I am really interested in what brought you to the carnivore diet. So I guess if you want, you could just start with that. Like, how did you come to start eating carnivore? I feel like there's always a really interesting story behind that.
Yeah, and first off, I do want to say, anyone watching, like, if you do like non or fiction books, go get her book. It's amazing. It is so good, and I cannot wait for the sequel. I'm actually like on pins and needles. You left it in such a good cliffhanger.
Um, Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you liked it. Yeah, I've had like a few people, like friends too in my life, read it recently. So now I'm like really driven to finish it because I have people now that are like presently being like, I really want to read the sequel. So I'm trying. I'm trying to get
Yeah.
it done.
Well, I can't wait, and I know it's going to be great, and I'm really excited to see the difference between your writing as a vegan and your writing as a carnivore. I think that's going to be amazing.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very interested to see your perspective on that when the time does come.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, what brought me to carnivore is health issues, kind of like everyone else. I initially did do it to lose weight because I was working out all the time and eating healthy, and I wasn't losing any weight, wasn't seeing any results, and my husband could see how frustrated I was, and he started researching like what could possibly be wrong with me because I thought that was just the hand I was dealt in life, that I was just meant to be 150 pounds, kind of like not obese, but not skinny, just fluffy. And he found the carnivore diet on the Joe Rogan and Sean Baker podcast and showed it to me and was like, hey, I think this is what's wrong with you. You should give this a shot. And I tried it for World Health or what's it called? Carnivore January, the January month.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like when everybody starts like new fitness
Yeah.
challenges and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a World Carnivore Month. I think that's what it's called.
Oh
Where in
yeah. I
January,
forgot.
yeah, you start it, and then so I did that for in January 2020, and I saw really good results. And but before I was carnivore, I was eating gluten free. Because I had major gut issues. So before I was gluten free, I for like 19 years of my life, I suffered from like severe constipation. Like
Oh
I
wow.
was only going to the bathroom like once every 3 to 4 weeks. Like it was really bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had like really major gut issues, and then when I was 19, I went to a homeopathic or like a natural doctor, and he kind of figured out that I was gluten intolerant. So I cut out gluten, and I got really good results from that, but I still had some like lingering health issues and still was suffering from like constipation and stuff. And then when I did start carnivore, like 10 years later, all my issues like have gone away. My skin is clear. I lost a bunch of fat. I don't have any like digestive issues anymore, and like mental
Wow.
health too. Like mental health was like a huge one that's really shocked me.
Wow. That's amazing. I feel like a lot of us have we have our little like niche issues that improve, but then on the whole, like so many people have that same experience where all of those like pillars of health improve. So that's awesome. Did you have like an adjustment period, or did it really improve like right off the bat?
Yeah, I didn't really have any negative side effects from starting carnivore, and I think it's because before I started, I was kind of trying to eat healthy, so it's not like I was jumping from standard American straight to carnivore. I was eating like fruits and vegetables and rice and chicken. Like that was my diet, and then like oatmeal in the morning because oatmeal's healthy. So like, so I was basically, the only thing that like I wasn't eating was like fatty meat, but I was eating like white meat, chicken, rice, vegetables. So I don't think that I had a very aggressive adjustment because I was kind of all of the sugar and junk was kind of already flushed out of my system, other than I was eating I would eat sweets like ice cream and drink wine, but I wasn't eating like fast food and stuff like that. I was like healthy. I was healthier than the normal American, but not healthy.
Right, right. Okay. So do you find, I don't want to veer too much off topic, but I'm curious, like, do you find that you're super sensitive to stuff like that now? Because I know that happens to a lot of people that really like simplify their diet.
Yeah. So my question on that is, do we get more sensitive, or is it just easier to pinpoint what is causing the issues?
Yeah, that's a good
You know what I'm
point.
saying?
Yeah.
Because like before, when I was eating all of that stuff, I had a ton of issues. So like, who knows, like I didn't know specifically what was causing it. I was just constantly like had mood issues, constantly had digestive issues, constantly had acne. So then now that I've eliminated those things, when I do have something that isn't carnivore, like something with seed oils on it or something like that, I notice it immediately. So I don't know if it is because it's a sensitivity increase or just you're eliminating. So there's
Right.
the only culprit is that thing, you know?
Right. Like you were always sensitive to it, but you can
Yeah.
just it now. Yeah, that also makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I was curious to, okay, so you covered what your like biggest health improvements were. Like overall, what one do you think is like the biggest? Would it be like digestive issues?
Yeah, digestive issues would be definitely the biggest physical issue. But the thing that I've been most surprised about and most happy with is definitely the mental aspect of it. Because
Yeah.
I had no idea, I don't know about you, but I had no idea that nutrition impacted your mental health until I started carnivore and started seeing the like improvements from it. I didn't even know that nutrition impacted, like I was an idiot. I didn't even know that nutrition impacted like my physical health. I was still in the
Right.
mindset that I would eat and then go to the gym to work out. I thought the
Right.
gym was the thing that made you healthy. And then when I started carnivore and I lost a ton of fat like right away, I was like, oh my God, it's the food I'm eating. Like
Right.
now it's like, seems like duh, but when I was doing that, I had no idea that food played such a big role in health and mental health. So yeah.
I can relate to that with veganism too, because I knew that food impacted your health, but I was so easily like in denial about the way that veganism was affecting me. So like in a it was kind of a different way that it went for me, but I was kind of doing the same thing. Like I was totally ignoring how the way the food I was eating was affecting my health. So yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like before coming to this way of eating, a lot of us do fall into that.
Yeah.
So I was curious, do you include anything outside of normal carnivore foods, or are you like pretty strict?
I'm pretty strict for the most part. If I do have something that's outside of carnivore, it'll be like if we go to a restaurant and they happen to cook something in seed oils, or there's like leaks on the meat, because a lot of places here have sauce on all the meat. Like it's very, very hard to find meat that isn't covered in like soy sauce or something. So one of the restaurants we do go to, we get like the salted leek hanging steak. So there's some like leeks on the steak. And then every like few months, like it really far in between, like maybe 4 to 6 months, something like that, I'll have like a blueberry smoothie or something like that, and I'll have like blueberries blended up with some milk. And but that is like, I don't even remember the last time I did that. Like it is very few and far between. So I'm on a day-to-day basis, I'm pretty strict.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can relate to that too because like I'll include other things, but time and time again I find that I feel better being pretty strict, so I'll like lose the desire to even have those things again.
Mhm.
So I totally get that too. Okay, so how have the people in your life reacted to you eating this way? Like have you had any naysayers? It sounds like your husband does eat this way too.
When he can. So he's in the military, and he travels a lot. Like he's leaving in a few hours and he'll be gone for a couple days. And they don't really get to pick and choose what they get to eat when
Oh,
they're gone. Like he's going to be on a boat somewhere. So like whatever they have on the boat is what he gets to eat. And uh, so he tries to eat carnivore as much as possible, but when he can't, he can't. But
okay.
he also doesn't have, yeah, he also doesn't have like health issues like I had. So carnivore for him is like specifically just something that he does because he knows it's healthy. It's not actually like helping him overcome any like drastic health problem. So
Got it.
so he has a little easier time going back and forth. And then I'm sorry, I forgot your question. What was the
Oh,
initial?
like have there been any naysayers in your life? It sounds like he's like totally on board because he was the one that told you about it. But have there been any people that have like judged you for it?
Yeah, so my parents were kind of like iffy about it in the beginning, but they never made me feel bad. They never said don't do this. They kind of were just like interesting. And then my dad's doctor actually told him, because he was diagnosed like diabetic. So my dad's doctor actually told him to go on a keto diet. And
Oh,
and when he started recommending the keto diet and my dad to start eating more meat, then they were like, oh, maybe Jessalyn's onto something. So they started listening to me more and listening to like Ken Berry and stuff like that. And now they eat pretty much carnivore, but they still kind of like their fruits and vegetables. And then my extended family thinks I'm weird, but I don't talk to them very much, so I don't really care.
right.
And my friends are kind of indifferent. Like sometimes when I would tell people, like if I would go out to like a party or something like that, people would question me and it would like feel like an interrogation, because they're like, oh, but we're not made to eat meat. Like we're made to eat veggies, and what
Right.
about fiber? And it was like all the standard questions. And so I've had that before where I'm just like kind of like getting bombarded with like people who tell me veggies are essential while they're like downing their alcohol and eating donuts and
Right.
like
Yeah.
and judging me. So I've experienced that a little, but not very much. For the most part, people have been very nice about it and have asked questions in a respectful way and probably aren't fully on board. But I also think that just leading by example and just showing people like
Yeah.
me physically and mentally and talking about the health benefits will also bring a lot of people over to this side.
Yeah, totally. I think my parents too were a little iffy about it, but they saw how much like veganism damaged my health. So I think they were happy to know that I was just eating animal products again because they saw how much it improved my health when I started doing it. And then my mom today asked me, she was like, Ken Berry, a YouTube video of his showed up in my YouTube feed today. Like, is he like a good, like knowledgeable person? And I was like, yeah, watch him.
Yeah.
So hopefully she did like end up watching the video and she watches more. So
I think
that's awesome though.
I think he's like a great like gateway into carnivore. Like my parents like because his videos are like really easy to digest and like they're
Yes.
quick. So I always like recommend him in the beginning because he's just like a good to dip your toe into it and get a lot of good information.
Yeah, yes, totally, totally. Okay, so let's see. Oh, so I was also really curious how it is doing carnivore in Japan. I know you kind of did touch on that, but I remembered seeing one of your videos where you talked about what a hard time you had traveling. So I was wondering about like being carnivore in Japan and like if you have any like general travel tips.
Yeah, so I was really nervous to come here because I'm in Okinawa, so I'm like on like a little island that's not even on mainland Japan. But I was pleasantly surprised when I got here because there are options. There's steakhouses and Japanese barbecue, and we found a local butcher where we can get our meat. And then they do have an American commissary here on the military base, so we can go get meat there too. So we do have options. It just is a little difficult to find meat sometimes that, like I said, isn't like drenched in sauce because everything here has like soy sauce and all of that stuff on it. It's so funny to me because it's like you're just assuming the person wants the sauce. Like I feel like the sauce should just be on the side. That should be a law.
Yeah, yeah, I
Put the
agree.
sauce on the side. Because everything just automatically comes with sauce. So like that is like the one thing that's a little difficult. So there are options, but it's limited if we go out to eat. And then we went to mainland recently, and I actually found that it was much harder to be carnivore in mainland Japan than it was actually being in Okinawa. There was one restaurant that we found that I could eat at, and then plus McDonald's if we were in a pinch. Um,
Okay, wow.
but there was only one restaurant that had like steak that didn't have sauce on it.
Wow.
And so we ate there the whole time that we were there. And then it was really difficult to find like grocery stores. Like the grocery stores here are definitely different than in the United States. And we could only find like little convenience stores. So everything was just like packaged and
Oh,
processed.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was a little difficult. That was interesting, but I feel like if we did live there, we would find more places. But just traveling there, it was like, oh wow. And for the first day I was there, I was like, I'm screwed. I'm not gonna have anything to eat. I'm gonna be fasting for 5 days.
Oh my
uh,
God. Well,
yeah,
luckily, like that didn't happen.
yeah.
Um,
So oh, but so the tip I would just have is just to like plan ahead and research a lot. I did not do any research before we went there. I just was like, they'll have meat. And then maybe like investing in something like carnivore bars or something like that. Like I know they're expensive, but they might be a good option if you're traveling and like really don't know if they have food you can eat.
yeah, totally. I mean, I'm going on my first trip since starting this way of eating in September, and I'm going with friends too. So I won't even be with my fiance, where like there's kind of like a mutual understanding. So I have to like explain this way of eating to my friends kind of and just do my best. So I think I am going to embrace like bringing carnivore crisps with me and like maybe I will. I've never tried carnivore bars, but I probably will get them for that.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
haven't either. I haven't tried them either. I just know they're really expensive, but everyone that's tried them that I've talked to have said that they're really filling. So that's why I would assume they're a really good option. But yeah, I don't know. I don't if we ever go someplace else around here, I might try to buy some and see how it works out. If we go like to Thailand or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I would say it's definitely worth it in that situation.
Hmm.
Okay. So I was curious about what made you want to start sharing your journey online and also what made you want to start Beyond the Meat because I find that to be such a cool concept where like we come together because we all eat this way, but we talk about our interests. Like I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, so I had social media like before carnivore, and I would kind of talk about my carnivore on my social media, but I wasn't really in the community. I wasn't really friends with any other carnivores, and I wasn't usually using like the hashtags and stuff like that. And then eventually I just like, I started finding more carnivores and like following them and starting to use the hashtags, and it kind of just developed from there. Because I was just like, oh, I don't think in the beginning I like realized that there was a carnivore community online.
Right.
I was just talking about it, and then when I realized that there were other people online doing this, I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna do this too. And it was really cool, and I made a lot of friends, and everyone was so nice. And so that's why I started being more present on Instagram in the carnivore community. I just kind of like found it, and I was like, oh cool, hi, welcome.
Right.
Yeah. And then the Beyond the Meat was because like when I did start getting more involved in the carnivore community, I just felt like everyone just talked about meat all the time. And I love meat, and I love talking about meat like every other carnivore, but I wanted something more. And I was like, I want to know who these people are. I know that they're eating meat, but I want to know like what they like to do, like what their life is like, what their hobbies are. Because Instagram, I know that Instagram likes to make everyone go into like a really specific niche, and then like not only do you have to be in a niche, but you have to find your niche inside your niche. Like you
Yeah.
are a plant eater, so you talk about like being vegan and stuff, and like I had constipation issues, so like I talk about that. So it's like you have to have like your niche inside of your niche, so it's like puts people in like very tiny little boxes, and then if you step outside of your niche, your views plummet and your likes plummet. And so, and that really frustrated me, because I personally know that I have a ton of interests. I like multiple things. I'm more than just a person that eats meat, and I want to be able to talk about that. So I was like, what if I create something where I can talk to these people, and it's still kind of within the niche, but we can explore more of their personal lives and get to know them better. And I was like, Beyond the Meat. And I thought it was really clever because it's like beyond meat,
Yeah.
beyond the meat. And yeah, so I started it that way. I had the idea for a little bit, and then but I was really nervous because I was a nobody. And I mean, I'm not saying that I am somebody now, but I was like super new to the carnivore community. No one knew who I was, and I was just messaging people. I had the idea, and then one day I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. And I was messaging people like, hey, I know you don't know who I am, but I have this idea for this show if you want to be on it. And to my surprise, people were like, yeah. And I was like, oh cool, this is gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like went with it. I swallowed my fear, stepped outside of my comfort zone, and I've been enjoying getting to know everyone in the carnivore community. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that so much. And I feel like people, I mean, I know for myself, like I was so enthusiastic to do something like that, especially because like it's just as valid to do interviews where you talk about what you eat and you talk about what led you to this way of eating. But at the same time, sometimes it is awesome and fun to like mix it up and talk about like your interests. So I find it so cool. And
Yeah,
I
like
totally, what?
no, keep going.
I was just going to say too, I was going to agree with you that the community with this way of eating, like whether you're carnivore or animal based or like a mix of, you know, things, the community is so rich. Like I really have developed real friendships with people on here, and I never had that before in another in like another virtual community. So it's so awesome.
Yeah, and so supportive too. Like you can go to people, and it's amazing. Like Serena is like one of my like best friends now that I met through here, through Beyond the Meat. We'd never talked before until I did the interview with her, and we like clicked on the interview, and now like we work together and stuff like that. So and I just love it too, because like I would never have known that you were a fiction, like a novel science fiction author, if I didn't do the Beyond the Meat episode with you. And then I got to read that amazing book. So it's like, I think it's like so much fun to just get to know people like beyond the meat, and
Yeah.
get their lives and hear their stories, because I personally believe that, like, because some people will be like, oh, I'm not super interesting, or I'm kind of boring. And I really truly believe that, like, if you ask the right questions and you get to know people, like, everyone has a really interesting story, and everyone has like a really cool background or fun things they've done. And so I really believe that, like, no one's boring and everyone's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Okay. So what is the last nonfiction book that you read? I remember when you did post about my book, you mentioned that you hadn't read fiction in a while. So I feel like I've seen you post books that have to do with like eating this way and stuff. So I'm very curious about what the last book you read that was nonfiction was, and like what it was about and stuff.
Yeah, so the last book that I read, it was You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
I didn't read it. I did the audible. So I, like, the last book, like, I physically read, I think was probably like a history book. And then I started just doing Audible. But yeah, You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. It's really interesting. Have you heard of it?
I have read like half of his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So I'm not familiar with that specific book, but I'm very familiar with his work, and I think that it's very valuable. But I don't know, like since I did stop being vegan, all the like law of attraction and like new age stuff, I'm kind of like a little skeptical of now, but at the same time, he takes a very scientific approach. So I do appreciate that and see the value in it.
Yeah, because it is out there, and I feel like if you go into You Are the Placebo with a mindset of thinking about like cognitive dissonance and how powerful like the veganism like ideology is and stuff like that, like, I feel like if you go into it in that way of like thinking, like, because I know we all think like, how are these people like falling for this stuff? How do they believe this stuff? And his book does a really good job of explaining like how the brain can literally construct like an alternate reality, and people will like 100% believe like what they think is reality, despite being presented with evidence to the contrary. So like it really like changed my perspective on mindset in that way of just like understanding how people can fall for certain things. So I appreciated that, and I do like, there is something to like having a positive mindset. So I appreciated that about his book too, because I don't know if you've heard. Do you know who Napoleon Hill is?
Yeah, he wrote Think and Grow Rich. I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and there's another one that he wrote where it's like how to control your brain or something like that, or control your own brain, something like that. And that one is, he does an interview with Andrew Carnegie, and basically the whole book is just the interview. And even in that one, Andrew Carnegie talks about like the importance of positive mindset and like speaking positivity into your life. And I'm pretty sure he like talks about like physically writing out your goals and speaking them every morning. So like the idea of like positive mindset, speaking positivity into your life, writing your goals down, thinking positively, like that has been around for a really long time. So I do believe that there is something to that. But yeah, like I think that it can get a little woo woo, but I do think that there is something to believing that you can achieve something.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think there is like a scientific side to it that where you can really delve into it and start to understand like where, say, the law of attraction comes from, that it's not just this like woo-woo concept. But yeah, I mean, I've been on both sides because like towards the end of me being vegan, I was starting to get into more people like him and like Bob Proctor, if you're familiar, who again
Yeah.
takes some more, he more so talks about like setting goals and like writing them down, and he doesn't get into like scientific stuff with it, but especially Joe Dispenza, I did really enjoy reading his work and find it very interesting because he actually explains like how your thoughts kind of like construct your reality.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned right in the beginning of the live that you run the YouTube channel Carnivore Revolution jointly. I'm not sure who is that, the girl Serena who you run it with? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And I saw that you guys make all these like awesome recipes. I was like watching the one where you make Kelly Hogan's cake, and now I want to make it. But I was curious what your favorite recipe has been that you've made, and what your favorite food is like in doing carnivore.
Yeah. So yeah, we do recipes, like we'll find like carnivore recipes, or we'll try to like think of a recipe and carnivorize it. And I'm not a very good cook, so I usually just like fudge it up. But it's a lot of fun. But yeah, my favorite one that we've made so far is the carnivore biscuits and gravy. The gravy specifically is like my all-time favorite thing, because biscuits and gravy were like, when I was a kid, was the one thing that I really, really liked. So when I went gluten-free, I would, every once in a while, I would like ask my dad to make me gluten-free biscuits and gravy. And then when I went carnivore, I hadn't had that in so long. So when we found that recipe, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to make this.
Yeah.
And it was really good. But the gravy specifically blew my mind. And I make that probably at least once a week. It's
Oh
literally
wow. Okay.
heavy cream and cream cheese, and you just reduce it in a pan until it thickens into gravy, and like add salt, add pepper if you still do pepper, and it is so good. I will put that over anything.
I'm
And
gonna
then
have to make that now.
yeah, and then recently, I think the video isn't up yet, but it's gonna be up soon. We did like gnocchi, and we made gnocchi with cheese and eggs,
Ooh.
and then we made the gravy and then poured it over, and it literally tasted like mac and cheese to me. I mean, I haven't had mac and cheese in a really long time, but from what I remember, like when I bit into it, I was like, oh my god, this is mac and cheese. So that blew my mind too. So that one will be up soon. But specifically, the gravy is my favorite thing we've ever made.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I want to make that now. I'm gonna have to like look out for that video.
Yeah.
Was it, did you make the biscuits with one of those like egg mixtures and cheese?
No, we made the biscuits with pork rinds, with ground up pork rinds.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Okay, I'm gonna watch the video.
Yeah, I'm sure you could make it with that, with the egg white bread. I'm sure it would probably be so good with that too. I just have never made the like actual like egg loaves. I did like the egg white whipped cloud bread, but I haven't ever actually tried like the loaf bread yet. But that gravy, like you could put it over anything. Like I put it over ground beef, over my steak, everything, and it's so good.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that sounds really good. Okay. So what would you say to someone who's skeptical of trying this way of eating and experiencing all of the same health issues that you have, if they were like interested in it, but they were like, but that doesn't sound healthy?
Yeah, I would say to research it. Like, don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone else's word on the internet that's just like telling you stuff. Like, go out and research it for yourself, look into it, and you have to make sure that you're comfortable with this way of eating. Like,
Yeah.
don't make the decision because someone on the internet told you to do it, and you follow them and you think that they're cool and you're like, I want to do this too. Like, you need to be comfortable with it. You need to do your own research. You need to decide for yourself that this is the right thing for you to do. Because if you're just doing it based off what someone else said, I can't see that being very like long lasting, especially if you're skeptical of it. Because like
Yeah.
the moment something goes wrong, you're going to be like, oh, I knew it. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But because like when I first heard about it, I knew like, oh, that goes against everything I ever learned, but I wanted to try it. And then I kept researching more about it. I didn't just try it and then not ever think about like the science and stuff behind it. Like I kept researching, kept learning. And then the more I learned about it, the more I was like, oh, this is how we're supposed to eat as humans. And it gave me more confidence in what I was doing. So I think that would be the key, is just like research it, make sure it's something that you're personally comfortable with, and you have to make that decision on your own and decide, I am going to try this. maybe for like 30 days, a week, whatever, and stick to it and see the results, or go on into another diet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so key that people are open to doing it, first of all, and that they develop a foundation of research that shows them that it can be a good thing, like it can improve their health. Because people ask me a lot, like, how do I break my vegan friend out of their trance? Like, how do I make them see that eating meat again can be good for their health? And honestly, the whole thing, the whole factor that it depends on is if they're willing to see that. Because like you were saying before, people kind of construct their own realities based on their beliefs. And if somebody is not ready to see that veganism isn't the healthiest diet, then there's just no way of kind of breaking through that mindset that they have. It's unfortunate, but it's really rare that you can like convince somebody of something, especially when it comes to something as like sensitive as diet, if they're not willing to see it. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Well, what I found interesting is because I learned that we have our core beliefs, and our brain, like when someone challenges your core beliefs, our brain reacts to that in the same way as if we were like physically being threatened. And that like blew my mind, because and that also changed my perspective on like how to approach people. Because before I was like, oh, they're so stupid, how do they not see this, like they're so stupid. And then it's like, oh, like your brain literally is protecting your core beliefs at all costs, which is why it's so important to research and make sure what you believe is truly like something you can stand behind and you support, and it's something that you are okay with believing. Because once that core belief forms, your body and your brain will protect it at all costs. And if someone challenges it, like you will react as if you're getting that's why people get so aggressive, of like,
Right.
veganism is the way, because
Yeah.
they're being physically threatened. And so I think that like you can't really pound that into anybody, because aggression will just create aggression. So I think the best way is just to kind of lead by example and just be over here living our best lives, healthy, eating meat and snacking on bacon and butter all day long. And then people will eventually be like withering away and be like, oh, maybe they're right.
Yeah, because then it's almost like they're the one that has the idea of like, oh, wait, that person is really healthy and thriving. Maybe they're doing something right. So yeah, then it's like they make the choice to start thinking about it that way. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. That makes a lot of sense. I just never knew that either.
Yeah.
So
You can't force someone to believe what you believe. Like they have to decide that on their own. So they have to come to that on their own. And like you can't, like it would be so easy for all of us to just like no, believe what I believe, and just pound them over the head with like our carnivore research and stuff like that. But like that's not possible. Like we're all autonomous like human beings. We have to like decide on our own that we want to do something.
yes. Okay, so I have one more question for you. So I'm gonna wrap this up in a minute, but I saw somebody did ask if we get a lot of hate from vegans. I mean, I do, but do you? Because I'm curious.
Not really, not like vegan specifically. I get people who are like, what studies are you looking at? Like, where are these studies saying that red meat is healthy? And or people they'll be like, well, my doctor said, and this study says. And so I get people like that, but I don't get specific vegans. I don't think on my page. Just the show me the studies people.
Okay, that makes sense. I feel like if you don't outright challenge veganism with your posts, then they either don't find your posts, or they just don't find them, honestly. I think, because I think a lot of vegans, like if they just see a picture of meat, they're like, this is wrong, this is unethical. But yeah, I could see that, and that's good, because some of them can be so just like obscene and vulgar and aggressive. But that's good that you don't.
Yeah, which I don't really mind. Like when people challenge me, I kind of enjoy it. I don't I mean, the internet to me is like the wild, wild west, and I think it's so much fun. And I'm definitely not like a sensitive person, so when people like come at me, I don't mind. I feel like that's like what you sign up for when you put stuff online. Like you sign up for that. So I
Yeah,
enjoy it. Yeah.
totally. That's so true. The internet is like the Wild West. It totally is. Um, okay, so thank you so much, first of all, for coming on my page and doing this interview. This has been super fun, and I'm wondering where people can find you. I did mention that you have the YouTube channel Carnivore Revolution with Serena, and then obviously on your page, which I'll link here.
Yeah. So yeah, I just have Instagram and then my YouTube channel is Serena. So it's just Jessalyn.Randle, and then Carnivore Revolution. And that's really all I can't handle other platforms. I don't know how people like I don't know how you post over multiple different platforms and keep track of it all and keep up with it. Like it's hard for me just to handle Instagram.
Right. Yeah. It gets a little hard to keep track of. So I do try to keep it to like here and YouTube. I'm not I'm like way more organized than I used to be, especially since I did start eating this way, but still I'm not organized enough to like be managing on like 5 different platforms.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you again for coming on my channel. You guys should definitely check out Jessalyns page if you are not following her already, and I will tag you in everything. And yeah, next time, I guess, if not sooner, when I do publish my second book, like we'll definitely chat again. I guess like maybe on both of our pages, but whatever ends up working out.
Yeah. No, I will be the first in line to get it, and I want to buy a signed copy.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, so thank you again. I don't know if it's night where you are, but have a good day, and we will definitely talk again soon. And thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I've had so much fun.
Oh, yeah, me too. All right, bye.
Bye.